Welcome and greetings, happy listener. It's the Stoic Gamer here speaking to you. Stoic because he attends events and wins very few games. Having said that, once you come to terms with aiming to win 2 and actually winning 2, or aiming to win 3 and winning 3, you're actually doing what you think you should be doing, and that's not too bad. Not a bad place to be in life either, achieving what you think you should achieve. So Alex and I went to Battlefield Birmingham at Aeldari College. Cracking little event run by Harry Allen, who I'm going to have on next week's podcast, who's going to tell us all about what's coming in the future for Battlefield Birmingham, and hopefully give us a little bit of a rundown about the history behind why he set up the event, how long it's been going. I think over 10 years now. Fabulous little event. Great venue. Couldn't recommend it more highly. I don't get any money for saying that, but it is a really good event. So we're going to have a quick chat now. Alex and I are going to talk about the Battlefield Birmingham from last weekend, what we fought, what we thought about the terrain, how we ended up with the lists we took. And then we're going to have a chat next week with Harry about Battlefield Birmingham and what's coming in the future. So without further ado, listen in. Hello, Alex, and how are you feeling after a weekend at Battlefield Birmingham, beating off the hordes of new Marine players with ridiculous detachment rules?
No, I don't think you'll find I beat anyone off.
Oh, naughty joke to start the podcast with. Well done.
Straight to the gutter.
All right, for those of you who don't know, we've just come back from Battlefield Birmingham that's held at Aeldari College. Great venue. And I know that we were both debating what lists to take. So what did you take with you in the end, Alex?
I stuck with Deathwatch. That was my pick, and I stuck with it.
Yeah. Did you change anything?
I made a last minute shufty because there's a unit I wanted to try out that I've had my eye on for a while. So I did chuck in an Indomitus kill team instead of some Stone Guard just to see how they did really before I committed to painting them.
Okay, and what about the rest of your list? Just give us a quick run through so people have in their mind the kind of thing you were using.
Well, I kind of went character light because I keep seeing people posting Marine lists and it's got 4, nearly 500 points on characters, and I just think, do they add that much to you? So in the end, I went for the new Gravis Apothecary. And I gave him the enhancement that let me deep strike him and his unit. So he went with some aggressors. I had the lieutenant with combi weapon, and he's in there purely because it gives me reroll 1s to wound against stuff on objectives.
Yeah.
And then that was it for characters. And then what do we have? We had 2 units of 6 Eradicators, and the second unit of Eradicators came in after London, and that's because I thought, whenever you see Marine players talking, you see them talking about the Iron Storm detachment, which is the dreadnoughty vehicle heavy one.
Yeah,
I thought people are just going to take that. Yeah, it's going to be all over the mid tables. Second unit of Eradicators. We had the aggressors. We had the Indomitus kill team, which is all Gravis bodies basically. So you get 5 heavy intercessors, a couple of aggressors, a couple of inceptors, and a dude with a multi-melter. Kind of useful. 2 units of 5 infiltrators to kind of screen out stuff and jank, which were really good. And then I had a few points left over, so I went for a unit of incursors who they're okay.
Are those the deep striking guys with plasma pistols?
No, that's the inceptors. So yeah, So I did have 6 bolter inceptor. Assault Volta Inceptors and 2 units of 3 Plasma Inceptors, and then that last 85 points was rounded out with the Incursor unit. It's kind of chunky. Most of it was Gravis in the end, toughness 6. Got some mission play in there. It's got maneuverability. It's got some firepower. It's got a spread of anti-infantry, anti-tank, and It was pretty
Yeah,
cool.
I like it. I like it, and it jumps about all over the place because it's Death Watch. So
Exactly, yeah. It's mobile. It's got some tricks. It's got
hmm.
some, got some fun.
No, I like it. And I also think the Eradicators are good because there's a lot of armies out there that make very good use of transports. Orcs, for example, or Chaos Space Marines. 2 or 3 rhinos in most of those competitive lists with Chosen in them that just run up and you have to destroy the transports first. So it's a really good idea to have some Eradicators, I think. I don't think that's a bad idea at all.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, they're it. You kind of try and think what you're facing, and the hot topic was obviously Marines in Ironstorm. And then what you don't want to do is wait too far into it because if you go too anti-tank and you end up playing like Necrons, for example, you got no chance because
Yeah.
how do you kill 20 warriors with 6 Eradicators? You don't. So you gotta you gotta have a balance in the nest, I think.
Yeah,
But
no, true, 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 true.
yeah,
Well, I took what I was going to take. Unlike you, I spent nearly 1,000 points on characters because because 420 of them are the Silent King anyway. So, and I wasn't going to lose him, so I didn't take. I took him. I took a few other characters to make my Lich Guard -1 to hit, -1 to wound as normal. That blob. Then I did, what else did I do? 2 units of 6 Tomb Blades, good for whizzing around and hurling thousands of devastating wound shots at people. I took the Hexmark Destroyer, which I didn't think was brilliant, but I'm struggling to think what else I can do for 80 points, to be honest, or however many he is. I think he's 80. I took my hammer unit, which was 6 Locust Destroyers with the Locust Lord. So they're hitting on 2s, and they got 5s and 6s, lethal hits, -2, 2 damage. So they can do a number on things. Although later on I'll tell you why they not quite as good as I thought they were. Well, no, I'll explain later. Don't worry. And what else? And then two units of 2 Locust Heavy Destroyers, usually for coming on as reserve and taking one shot with the potential to do 24 wounds on something before they usually get killed by return fire. In fact, they probably get killed by a couple of Nurglings who fall on them or something like that.
yeah, they're not toughest, are they?
No, they're not. They're not tough, but they can hurt if they. I mean, in fact, if you remember, you were at the table when they shot Gulliman and he refused to get back up again. So that was
Yeah, I don't blame him. I'd have stayed down as well.
he got hit by that in the face. That's a flat 6 damage. Oh, he's dead. Did he get up? No.
He's decided his time is done.
Yeah. So yeah, but what I liked, what I enjoyed using, and I'm going to keep with, are the 2 lots of 3 wraiths, who actually on paper ain't that good. They only hit on 4s. Their weapons are -1 damage in combat. They've got a little pistol, but actually they worked out okay. They've got the special ability, if they move over something, they do mortal wounds on 4s, and you roll as many dice as there are in the unit. So I'm thinking against 20 warriors, you're likely to do 10 mortal wounds with a fella just touching them and then sort of skimming over the side going, ha ha ha, I've run over you now. So that's quite interesting. So I think
they sound really good. I like
well, they're fast. They're 9 inches, which is fast for me. They're 4 up invulnerable save, so they can be resilient if I'm lucky. And the best thing about them is because they've got pistols, they can do actions while they're in engagement range because they've still got the ability to shoot. So if it's a hypothetical situation. If my Lich Guard are tied up in the middle of the table and I want to score teleport homers or something, I can charge my guys in to the combat, even if I can't get onto the objective, as long as I'm within 6 of it, and do the business on them, and that would be kind of nice. And then I go, I'm not fight. I will fight, but I'm not shooting and I'm not charging, but I'm still going to do an action and score. So that's an interesting one, isn't it?
It is, yeah. Something else I learned at the weekend was you don't have to. Probably only relevant to Eldar players, but you don't have to start your action where you need to finish it. So, like deploy teleport homers, you could start it outside the deployment zone in the shooting phase, and then you could phantasm into the deployment zone.
No.
Yes.
Does it say that?
Yes.
Did you check the rules on that?
I didn't check it because it was down, so I trusted him. But I mean, it's Eldar, isn't it? Like whatever. Yeah,
Yeah.
just do what you want, mate. It's fine.
Yeah, I wasn't going to argue with my Eldar opponent either, to be honest. So, but that doesn't sound right.
No, it sounds ridiculous, but maybe I will look.
Maybe you
We
will.
can call him out if he's right.
Maybe you should do that on your PC as we talk now.
What's a PC?
Oh gosh, you've got a telephone, haven't you? It's the same thing. Okay, so we both turned up. Now we've been before. It's a cracking little venue. This time we were in a different building on the complex, on the campus. We were in the theatre. And there was a little balcony with about 7 or 8 tables on, and then there was the auditorium area where the rest of the tables were. To be honest, super little place. We all had a little bit of room, about a foot each side of the table to put trays and models and casualties on. That was great. The car park was terrific until there was a tannoy asking if a couple of drivers could come and see the organisers. And what had happened is that what was described as a soccer mom, because there was some children playing football, had a hire car. It was an automatic. She wasn't used to an automatic, and instead of putting her foot on the brake, she slammed her foot on the accelerator, and it rammed into one car, knocked it 4 foot sideways into another car. So 2 of our gamers' colleagues' cars were, well, slightly dented, shall we say. So that was not good. And I played one of them later on. So he couldn't believe that his car was 2 feet away from a car that in itself had been pushed 4 feet to get to his. So, I don't know how fast she was going when she hit the other one, but it must have been quite intense.
Yeah, it wasn't slow, was it?
No, telling me. So that was interesting. What else? We had a breakfast on the Sunday from the buffet. They put a pop-up bar in the venue building itself, so you could get yourselves beers on the Saturday, which was nice. What else?
I mean, the food was really good. I mean, it's just a really good venue. You go through all the listings you want. You want space, you got it. You want decent acoustics, so you're not like echoing all around the hall. Like, you got it. You want good food, got it. Easy to get to. Yeah, parking.
Secure parking. You left your car overnight. The gates are all locked. Nobody can get in or out. That's good stuff as well. And and for the price that you pay to go to a UK GT event, you get 2 free meals as well.
Yeah, food's included. Yeah.
Yeah. So
and decent prizes. Really good prize support as well.
Yeah. Well, the prize support was cracking. We'll get onto that towards the end, but yeah, that was terrific. In fact, my first, Alex and I were both very excited to win the best sporting until we realised it was Alex and me, and we thought there's no fucking chance of doing that. And so because the best sporting was, what was it called? Chain breaker something? The big.
Yeah. Did you get a big night and 4 small nights or something that? Yeah.
That's it. And that was the most sporting prize. So that would have been nice to win. Not that I play nights, but I would have if I'd have won that, because that looked like a really nice piece of kit. So, and that was the best sporting. So I've got no idea what the first place prize support was like.
I think he actually weights it. So best sporting and best painted get better prizes.
Yeah, he does.
Place him.
Yeah, he does. He does. I wasn't even nominated for best painting. I was very upset.
There were some really nice armies there, actually, weren't there? Shame some of them were Eldar.
Yeah, did you notice on the best painting of the 6 that were out, 3 of them were Eldar?
I did. Yeah, but Eldar are piss easy too. You just get your airbrush, and then you could do some chitty, like, ooh, look at me, woo, and then splatter some shite on and go, oh, look, it's stars.
All right, moving on. I don't want to talk about Eldar anymore.
You got an army that looks decent. By fools.
My first game was against a really nice guy, Sean Mitchell. He had Chaos Knights, unusually 2 big ones, 5 little ones, and 3 lots of 3 Nurglings to do the actions with. And because the lists had been up for a few days, myself and Alex had been talking about what was I going to do, and I was a little concerned. They shoot a lot, they move through walls, and they can shot. And I'm not brilliant against vehicles. So, bit concerned. I was doubly concerned when I shook hands with Sean, and the first thing he said to me is, he said, "That bloke over there is my brother. If I collapse, go and see him." I said, "Well, hang on a minute. What do you mean if you collapse? Surely it's not going to be that bad for you." And he said, "No, but he'd been diagnosed with a heart issue, and he's waiting for a heart procedure." So he was like, "Oh," and I said, "Are you telling me something could happen?" He said, "Well, something could happen, and if it does, it's going to be pretty bad, but I hope I'll be all right." Well, that put me on the back foot a little bit when I was rolling dice. Half of me wishing that I could roll really well. The other half was hoping that I wouldn't put him under any stress. So,
the last thing you want is to keel over.
I know. I'd take the win, obviously, but it's still.
Yeah.
But no, we had a great game. I really can't remember too much about it. I remember that I charged the Lich Guard towards his big knights, thinking that in combat they're going to be not that great, and they weren't. And I was lucky enough to be able to move around my destroyers and the Silent King and just get angles onto his little knights that were trying to get objectives and just shoot them. So the other thing that I managed to do was use the indirect shooting from the Silent King to take out a unit of Nurgles every other turn, which was very handy to take him off objectives, because it's it's all good stuff. So I won that one, and the score was 82-70 because
hold on. When you say take him off objectives, what do you mean?
Well, he had his little Nurglings sitting on objectives out of sight, hiding, but my indirect fire was able to kill them.
But they can't hold objectives. They're OC 0.
Well, in that case, I wasted all my time shooting them, but I shot them anyway.
Okay, fine.
I didn't realise that. I thought they were. I thought they could do. Oh, okay. They're like my scarab swarms. They can't hold objectives.
Yeah, exactly the same. Yeah, I think anything that's swarm like gets is OC 0.
Well, I killed them anyway, which.
Good.
I think, actually, you know what? I think I'm glad I did, because I think it gave me space to use the Veil of Darkness and teleport my destroyers to get angles on things. So actually, it wasn't a bad thing. But yeah, I didn't do it. I did the right thing, not necessarily for the right reasons. But it ended up being great. And Sean, bless his cotton socks, is the lucky winner of the best sporting at the end of the event. So he walked away with that big box of knights, which actually would suit him because he's a knight player.
And I suspect most people voted because they were pleased he didn't die on them, which was
yeah. I mean, if he had the same conversation, if he had the same conversation with everybody, I bet there were at least 5 people saying, "Thank God he's not dead," and writing it in. So I won. I won the first game off to a flying start. What about you, Alex?
Me? Well, I drew Necrons.
Well, you know what to do with those, surely, by now.
Well, all that intensive training we do, every Monday. No, it was good. I played a guy called Donny. I think it was he's played a few events, but he's kind of leading the charge for his club, his group of mates, to get them into tournament play.
Yeah.
So he'd brought a few along to Birmingham. Really nice guy. Knew his stuff. Perhaps didn't really know other people's stuff, so that's kind of where he fell short a little bit. Played quite aggressively with his Necrons. He had the Lich Guard brick, he had the Warrior brick, he had Cryptothralls in both, he had Lord with Resorbs in both, he had the Reanimator sat behind him, so they were about as tough as you're going to get. He had the guy that gives them the invulnerable save, the feel no pains, and the Lich. It's like the full.
Yeah.
Every defensive reanimating buff he could have got, he got.
Yeah.
And then some, shite to play the mission. Which was fine, but I think he probably did he overestimate? I don't know. I mean, they're tough cookies, but basically he put his 20 warriors plus stuff on his left-hand objective, and it was turn 2, and I'd have picked up the Indomitus unit, which is all bolter weapons. Thinking if he goes aggressive, I'm going to drop down. I'm just going to put everything into this warrior barrack.
Now, is this the 6, the assault pistol thing, the heavy pistol?
No. This is the 10 Gravis bodies with
yeah.
5 heavy intercessors and that motley crew.
Yeah. Now, hang on, for the listener, because you're Deathwatch, at the end of his turn, you can lift 2 units or 3 units. One
Only
unit.
one now.
Right, and put it in reserve and deep strike it in every turn.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, so that's kind of what I did. And he pushed forward onto the middle objective. We pushed forward onto all the objectives. So I dropped down. I played by the time the Bolter Inceptors had shot, the Aggressors had shot, the Indomitus unit had shot, and we could use a special ammo strat, so I was winning him on 2s.
Yeah.
We had exploding 6s. We had re-rolling hits because they were oathed. We had re-rolling 1s to wound because they were on the objectives. The lieutenant did his magic. Dust cleared. Squad dead. Characters that were with it dead. Left flank collapsed. and from there, he didn't really have the stuff to put it back. So he had his super expensive Lich Guard sat in the middle. His little mission playing bits, like you've got the heavy destroyers and stuff like that. I knocked out. And I could wrap it up, and it was okay in the end. But so I got a win, 89-57.
Good,
but really nice guy. If he's going to be coming to tournaments regularly, then that's really good. More
good.
people like him in the scene is a real positive. So
yeah, I mean, and I have to say, one of the issues is one of the reasons I don't take warrior blobs is because I think there's a lot of armies out there now that realise that if they concentrate on them, they can kill them, and if they kill a warrior blob, then frankly, as a Necron player, you're in trouble because half of your ability to hold objectives is down the pan. So
there's so many points that go into it, aren't they? See where I read, people are obsessed with killing it in one go. If they can't kill it in one go, like, oh, this unit's rubbish. But I'm like, well, okay, hold on. So I think I killed 10 with the first unit that shot, and then he did his strat and he resurrected and he was on the objective.
When he get back 7, he got 7 or 8 back, did he, or something like that?
He got 9 back, so it's net 1.
But he can't do that strat again.
Exactly. Now I've got now these 2 units are going to shoot, and this one's anti-infantry 2+, and this one's firing about 8,000 shots with lethal hits and sustained hits. So I'm happy to put. We worked out it was about 1,000 points to my army.
Yeah,
1,100 points to my army to kill his warrior brick. But it gives you such control of the game against Necrons that I'd do that every day of the week.
Yeah.
So I don't get the obsession with trying to kill the brick in one activation. I'm happy to kill it in one turn. If I do that, then
the issue is though that you are able to bring several units to bear because you've got very mobile. There's a lot of armies that can't do that, so they have to say, well, if I'm only going to get 1 unit shooting at it, or maybe half of another unit, because they're not as mobile as you.
Yes, fair point.
So I think most people think if I can't knock it out with 1 unit, I'm going to just ignore it, and that's a problem because they get to dominate at least 2 objectives. But anyway, you won. Great. Good. So we're very happy.
Huzzah.
We're very happy after the first game. We go for a bite of lunch. We have a burger and chips free with the competition, which was actually pretty good, I thought. So
it was a really nice burger and chips. Yeah. It wasn't like a sloppy, crappy stuff. It was good, really good.
I enjoyed it, and then we went back in the afternoon for game 2. We were up on the balcony now. Now, Alex, tell them your story of woe.
My story. So they did the pairings at lunch, and I looked at it and went, oh, okay, I've got World Eaters on table 34 or something. That's fine because they do random tables. World Eaters, okay, cool. So they've got some more stuff now. Yeah, it's fine. Gets to table 34, and this chap called Ben rocks up with an Eldari. And I'm like, hey, are you Ben? He's like, yeah, I'm Ben. We're playing this table 34. Yeah, okay. I'm like, I'm playing. It actually wasn't Ben. It was a different Ben. So it was a Ben, coincidentally. But I was like, I'm playing Ben Smith. He's got World Eaters. He's like, oh no, they've redone the draw. I'm like, shit. So I've gone from playing World Eaters to playing the bloody, Vix Eldar list.
Yeah.
I'm like, what has happened here?
Well, it gets
worse.
What a
disaster.
It gets worse though, because you actually moved tables as well, and you ended up sitting next to me.
Yeah, I'd sit next to you whilst you were prattling on with your opponent. I was like, oh no, could have gone worse. Gone worse. Game 2.
Tell us about it, just really briefly, in a minute.
It's Eldar. I lost.
Good enough. I've got one of those coming up for you, dear listener.
It's Eldar, isn't it? What can you do? You know, like literally, what can you do?
Yeah.
I have all the tools.
Did he have any?
I don't see where I can beat it.
Did he have any night spinners?
3.
Right, let's move on from that. I'll tell you what I was fighting. I was sitting next to Alex, and I noticed after about an hour and a half that Alex was sitting there on his phone, looking forlornly, and everything had cleared off his table. So I knew something had gone horribly wrong. But I was playing Grey Knights, and the last time I played Grey Knights was at Leicester. They're a bit different now. The points have changed. They've got different stratagems, and they're actually pretty good. They do what Alex's Death Watch list does, but better because they move all over the place. They got at the end of each turn they can pick up 3 units and basically deep strike them in the next turn without any trouble at all. They have lots and lots of bog standard shooting, and his list had 3 librarians, each with Vortex of Doom.
Which I remember that from 2nd edition, 3rd edition. It was brilliant.
It's really good now. I mean, you roll a dice. If you don't roll a 1, they do 2d3 mortal wounds to you. If you roll a 1, you do. You can
Does it
kill
move
yourself.
around the table, sucking you off though?
Yeah, they do. They go with
as it were. As it were.
They go. No, it doesn't. It doesn't. Oh no! In the old days, it used to sort of randomly waltz around the back of your table, killing things. No, it doesn't. It's just it's like a shooting attack, but it's not shooting, so you don't get any saves against it. It's just it's a action kind of thing. So that was nasty. What else did I learn? I learned that you can kill them because they're only Marines, and I must have killed 60 Marines, and I still lost by 66 to 51. They move around a lot, and he played that. Oh, this annoyed me, but it was one of those things. My reanimation for Necron Warriors specifically says in the rules it happens at the end of the command phase. His reanimating using the apothecary just says in the command phase. So what you do is he puts 1 guy on an objective from a unit, the other 5 behind a wall. I kill the 1 guy, and guess where he reanimates before he does the scoring? On the objective. Whereas I can't do that because you have to score before, because it's at the end of the command phase. It's just mad.
That is frustrating because it's one of these like non-interactables, isn't it? You kill one and there's literally nothing you can do about it.
Yeah, it was hideous. So it was a great game, and Ed was a really good opponent, despite the fact he'd forgotten his measuring tape. And there's nothing more frustrating for a wargamer than having to share your measuring tape. I don't know why that is. It's something. Tape. It's weird. I lost 66-51. But again, only 15 points in it. Not too bad, but still a loss. Games 1 and 2 over. We're both on 1 and 1, aren't we? We've won 1 and lost 1 each.
Yep.
So we go into turn 3. What have you got, Alex?
I, joy upon joy, have Chaos Knights.
Yes,
I have an issue with knights, and I have a psychological block against them. Because for knight, any time I played them, I just couldn't kill enough, and I just lost every time. To the point where it was one of those, but it's not worth playing the game. So I still have that block going into 10th.
This is despite the fact that me, without any anti-tank, with little anti-tank, had managed to beat a Chaos Knight army on the first game, yeah?
Yeah. It's still there.
Okay.
It's probably still there now, but
it's psychological. So how did you get on?
I won! Yay! No, I mean, so Richard, really nice guy, really, really fun game. He had 2 big knights and 6 little knights, and then some nurglings and a blue scribe or something just for some mission play. Kind of before the game, I thought, okay, do I try and kill the little knights and then the big knights having to do missiony stuff? do I try and kill the big knights? So I'm taking less damage because the little knights don't do as much damage. And in the end, I went for kill the little knights because then he loses board presence. He loses, if he gets cleansed, he's going to have to go and have a big knight stand on it and go,
Yeah.
I'll just do that then. And yeah, it worked. I mean, the ghosting through walls is bleeding horrible. Really, really nasty stuff. But yeah, I killed 3 of the. He started 2 little knights off the table. I killed 3 of the little knights on turn 1 because he moved forward.
Oh, ouch!
Stand on the objectives. I hopped out. I teleported 1 and knocked him out. It was quite good. And then next turn picked up the other little knights and he was pasting me in terms of taking handfuls of marines off every turn and whatever, but he just couldn't get the mission playing. So I managed to win 83-41, which was quite a reasonable win in the end.
Significant.
I was quite happy with that.
Yeah, you should be. Especially after all the moaning about I can't beat knights that you had earlier on. It was good.
Yeah. I mean that second unit of Eradicators really came into their own then. I was so glad I had them.
Yeah, I mean the problem with that list, it didn't have any little things like my opponent had Nurglings and that. He had nothing to stop you moving around the table, really, did he?
Yeah, I think he had 2 units of Nurglings, but he didn't really. He was keeping them for investigated signals or teleport homers or whatever, and yeah, he just couldn't stop me. Couldn't stop my maneuverability, which was fun.
That's what your list's all about. That was good. Well, I played a guy called Charles who he won his first game massively. Then he fought Vic VJ's sisters and got absolutely beaten badly. So he and I won the same number, and he's using Votan. Now I've never played Votan in my life, and they have almost as many tricks as Eldar have, and there's more of them. It's ridiculous. And even Charles was saying, since the balanced data sheet, they are incredibly powerful, really powerful. Their shooting is great. They've got armor of contempt everywhere they need it. They've got all their blokes are basically little mini Terminators. It's a tough army. And it shoots a lot. I wasn't quite sure what to do with it. And for the first 2 turns, he was all over me. I don't think I scored any points at all until the 3rd turn. They have these things called judgment tokens, which, again, there's no interplay, because the judgment tokens are on a unit and they give the opponent +1 to hit. And if you get 2 judgment tokens, they get +1 to wound as well. You can't get rid of them. There is no mechanism for removing them until you're dead. And when you're dead, he picks one up and puts it on another unit that hasn't got one already.
Does he?
Yeah.
Well, that's ridiculous.
And he starts with 4, and there's a way, I can't remember what it is, but he's got a character that automatically gives you another one each turn. They are hideous. Having said that, once you start shooting and you concentrate your shots, you can start taking chunks out of them. So I started managing to pull it back. And the highlight of the game was the death of the Silent King, who was standing on objective, got charged, blew up on a 6 and killed all of the opponents within 6 inches of him with his massive explosion, which actually did me a favour, because it meant that everything else was further away for another round of shooting before they could get to me.
So you just died, hit the big red button, and nuked everything in range.
You'll never take me alive, copper! So I came back from a massive deficiency of points, and the game ended up 74-71 to Charles. So you know what? I'll take that. The first time I fought them, I didn't know what I was doing, and I still managed to get within 3 points. So I'm reasonably comfortable. So I've had 2 losses, one by 15 points and one by 3 points. So you know what? Although I end the first day on 1 win out of 3, I'm thinking with a bit of luck and a bit of knowledge, I could be on 3-0 here if I'd have known what I was doing and had a bit of the rub of the green kind of thing. And I think you probably you probably don't feel that way, because I don't think there was anything you could do about the Eldar.
No, I I don't see how Marines beat Eldar. I see how Grey Knights beat Eldar.
Yeah.
But I don't see how at the moment Marines beat Eldar.
Hold that thought.
Yeah.
Hold that thought because I fight Eldar tomorrow. So we'll move on to game 4. Game 4. What were you fighting?
I was fighting Imperial Knights. Yay!
Hey, more knights. Have you got over your
More
psychological block by now?
No.
Oh.
Kind of, a little bit. No, I mean, if I was happy I had the second unit of Eradicators in the third game, boy, was I self-patting myself on the back for taking the second unit in this game.
Yeah, I bet. I bet.
Because So, but Imperial Knights this time, a bit different. No ghost injury walls, which makes it slightly easier to move block. But man, they pump out some firepower. I mean, boy, you do not want to get caught in the open against some of those things. Yeah, it's AP4, so you're like, what's my save? No, don't bother. Okay, right, damage at least 3. Right, we'll just harvest off these Gravis Marines like they're not there. Just like, Jesus Christ. But yeah, knights, right? I think if you've got more than one big knight and he had 3, I think you probably suffer for mission play.
Yeah.
So I just replicated what I did against Chaos Knights, which was knock out all the little knights, and then you're like, what are you going to do? He's got 3 big knights. Stomp forward to try and shoot. Stomp forward to try and knock out a unit of Eradicators. I was like, you know what? I've got sustained hits active this round. I'm not that bad in Overwatch with the Eradicators into vehicles because you're hitting all 6s, but you re-roll to hit inherently because you're shooting a vehicle.
Do you re-roll everything, 6s. Alex?
Yeah. You re-roll to hit, then you re-roll in your wounds, and then you re-roll in your damage rolls. And you're looking for 6s, but you've got 8 shots. Should get at least 1. You can re-roll. You probably get another 2. That sustains into 2 more. So suddenly you got 4 hits. Then you wound him with a re-roll. And actually, I think I ended up taking about 10 wounds off him.
In Overwatch?
Yeah.
Oh, that hurts. That hurts.
They're surprisingly effective in Overwatch just because of all the re-rolls built in. It's quite good. But yeah, it was a similar story really. Knocked out the small knights, took out his Stagorin, jumped around the board, did all my secondaries. He had a pretty poor run of secondaries, to be honest. He was drawing stuff he couldn't score, but I think if your list is or your faction or whatever is designed so that half of the secondary objectives you can score are unlikely to be achievable, then maybe it's a bit of a.
It's about your army list, isn't it?
Yeah, a bit of a rethink, Yeah. But yeah, it was a cool game. Really nice guy. Lovely army as well. They were kind of neon-y, using the Halford neon sprays. They were really cool.
Yeah, I
managed to win 94-65.
Well, good. That's a good one. Well, at the same time as you were doing that, you finished quite early because you came over to watch my game that afternoon, and I was fighting Kevin with his Ultramarines, which is the list that we looked at, and we said, well, what does it do? Because it was the new detachment that gave him. It gave him 2 oaths, didn't it? That's what he gets. He can do oath twice.
No, it gave him the Gullum one gives him 2 oaths.
Oh, that's right.
The detachment one is that lets you have the old oath for once per game.
Yeah.
Because it's the first strike detachment or something.
That's what it was. I ended up winning 85-58, so it was quite comprehensive. The first 2 turns, however, he just threw everything at me across the table. His Dreadnought, the Land Raider, everything just came barreling towards me, which was a bit uncomfortable. And for the first 2 turns, I was fighting just on the edge of my own deployment zone. If it was rugby, I'd have been holding them off at the edge of the 22. So it was all a bit dodgy.
That's not where you want to be.
No, it's not where you want to be playing. But anyway, after turn 2, things started to change around because my reserves arrived. I put a lot in reserve, and Gulliman was fighting the Silent King. It was a cinematic moment, but I realised that Gulliman is a monster, so I can shoot him in combat. So my reserve Locust Heavy Destroyers arrived and shot him in the face with And you were there at the time, weren't you, watching?
I
And
was.
so he goes down in a red mist, and Kevin says, "Oh, he gets up on a 3." No, he doesn't.
Not this time.
Not this time, matey. Which left the Silent King free to romp around killing Marines left, right, and centre. So that was that. It was really the end for him on one flank, and on the other flank, my other Locust heavy destroyers had just popped out of some rubble and killed his dreadnought. And I just started to roll it back, and started then to get all the primaries every turn. 15 a turn for primary, and so it was just a case of me resisting the first 2 turns and then using my resilience and the reanimation to get units back into the fray. That was the first time I used the wraiths, and they're running over things and getting mortal wounds, because I killed 2 terminators when I with their mortal wounds. And they're beasts, so they just ran out from behind a wall, clipped the unit, and then went, "That's 6 dice, every 4 is a mortal wound." And he went, "What?" I was like, yeah. So I killed 1, and then the other unit of 3 ran out from behind a building like some, I don't know, like some youths trying to grab a bag on a London high street somewhere. Ran out from behind a corner, clipped his unit, did another 2 damage, and then shot them with their pistols and killed another one. It was like, what are you doing?
Naughty.
And I've just realised, Alex, I can do that to units that are already in combat. Because it's not a shooting attack, I just move over them.
Yeah, that sounds good.
So, that is good. That's a nice little bit of out of sequence damage, isn't it?
Ooh. Sneaky, and they're pretty quick, aren't they? So you can hide them somewhere,
9
relatively
inches.
safe, and then nip out.
Yeah. Oh, I like that. Anyway, so I won that one. So I'm on 2 and 2 going into the last game. Alex, what are you on going into the last game?
I'm on 3 and 1.
Whoa.
Whoop, whoop, whoop.
Close.
Boy time.
Last game coming up. I've already achieved what I hoped to achieve. I was getting 2 out of the 5 I was happy with. I thought I might be able to win a 3rd, all being well. And looking at the scores so far, both of my losses have been not too distant, so I think I'm close to getting 3. So I go into my last game thinking, I'll make this very short for you. I walked to my table, looked at the opponent, and it was a Polish chap called Magic. That's not how his name's spelt, but that's how he told me to pronounce it. Magic
Mike.
Lovely guy, Alex. He was a lovely guy, and he basically said, he told me you've got no chance against this. He said, I have lost, but it's if you haven't got a really fast close combat army, preferably in transports, you can forget it. And that's what happened. We got to halfway through turn 3, and I'd scored 2 points, so I was on 12. And most of my army was dead. The Incarn had wrecked it wrecked my destroyers and my Tomblanes on one flank. He had a little guy called Fugan, is it? The one of the lords?
It is, yeah. Phoenix Lord.
He's not a lone operative. He just ran across the middle of the table, dodging from terrain piece to terrain piece, and then ran into the other unit in Tomblanes and killed them all in a single go. I'm like, bugger off, leave me alone.
Yeah, but you know what? If you had managed to bring him down on a 2+, you'd stand back up anyway. So
does he get back up on a 2?
Yep.
Oh, no. Well, in that case, who cares? What did work? Nothing. He had Wraith Guard with the guns that shoot you when they die. He had Phantasm. Sneaky little things that I hadn't thought about. I was going to charge a unit of Warp Spiders on an objective because I was going to then outnumber him with OC and get that objective. But oh no, because guess what he did?
Did he Phantasm?
He did. Now, I would never have thought of using it that way. Phantasm for me would have been to get behind a wall, get out of the way of shooting or a charge, something like that. But it was a really clever way of using Phantasm to stop me getting on primaries. And he did it a couple of times, and there's just nothing I can do about it. Because it's one of those... I walked away disappointed in the game. Not in the player, he was a lovely guy. Not in the rules, they are what they are. But because when I go to a competition, Alex, I want to play 5 games of Toy Soldiers where I feel as though we're having a game. When I'm playing the Eldar there with the night spinners and the Incarn and the Phantasm and the Fate dice, I'm not having a game. I'm standing there, occasionally rolling dice for what feels like no reason to do absolutely nothing. It's not a game.
It's not.
And halfway through turn 3, I said to I shook Magic's hand and said, Magic, have 100 points because there ain't no way I'm going to get anywhere. And he agreed and he said, thanks very much. And I packed my bags and drove home for my Yorkshire puddings and beef. So that's my story of the last game. What about you?
My story is a more drawn out version of of your story. Because I got Eldar again. Yay! Twice in one event. That's amazing.
That's not, mind you. There were 9 of them out of 62 players. There were 9 Eldar, so we were both likely to get one.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so I drew Dan.
Yeah, very good
Dan
player.
Bates, last time guy. Really nice guy. Really nice, good player. His Eldar list was nothing like your net lists, and we were talking about it. He had howling banshees, he had swooping hawks, he had stuff that you just don't see in the net list copy and paste. And guess what? Here's a shock. It's still really bloody good.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
We had a conversation before. I'm like, we all know how this is going to go. Realistically, I should have gone, hey, Dan, we know you're going to win. We all know what's going to happen. You have 100 points, I'll have 50 points. And we'll all go home early. We'll all be home by 2 o'clock. We did. We played the game out and it was fine. We're taking the mick out of each other and, taking the mick out of the Eldar and stuff. But even just, your basic stuff, like your striking scorpions that no one takes, they move, something like 7. Then they can use a fate dice for a 6 for a charge. So they're going 13 plus a d6. Yeah, it's just like, what? And then they hit you with a ton of bricks.
Yeah.
It's like, wait a minute. And this is the stuff that people are looking at going, no, it's not good enough to get in my optimal list.
Yeah.
I just, I said to him, like, do you think Eldar have done, do you think they've done enough to balance Eldar? And he's like, no.
Yeah, did he? Because my opponent would have agreed with you entirely that the army is still overpowered. It's still got mechanisms that don't allow the opponent to interact with. It's still got things that are fate die. I mean, strands of fate. Come on, they're completely ridiculous. It's completely ridiculous.
I mean, Dan's a bit more like, I think they're not that far off being balanced because they do have bad matchups.
They do.
But they're very if they don't get a bad matchup, they will just absolutely plaster the opponent they play. It's not like okay, I haven't got my favorite matchup, so I'm gonna have to work really hard. It's like you just annihilate your opponent, and there's nothing. It's so non-interactive because you go, okay, I'll try and shoot, try and pin down 5 warp spiders to try and kill them, right? You need 1 unit right in front of them. You need 1 unit to this side where they could phantasm. You need 1 unit to the other side where they could phantasm. So you need 3 units to pin down 1 unit.
Yeah.
Or you put 1 unit out that threatens that unit, and then you try and find another unit to threaten at the same time. But you're probably exposing yourself to do that because the Eldar player is not a muppet. They've probably already got one in mind that they know they're going to phantasm in one that's just there to bait one of your units out, and they'll kill that. And it's just like, what the hell?
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, Magic was saying, he said there are matchups where I'm really in trouble. And the ones he told me were Chaos Space Marines with Chosen in Rhinos were a problem, and so were Orcs, where he could kill they don't do well on anti-tank, so he could kill 1 or 2 trucks, but then they've got 20 boys coming towards you, and even their close combat stuff, and they don't have a lot of close combat stuff unless you really go for it. I mean, in the list I fought, the only close combat things were the Incarn and Freegan. Other than that, everything was, if you got them in combat, you'd beat them. but you can't get them in combat.
No, you got no chance. Absolutely no chance.
All right, so
I mean,
quick.
if the night spinners aren't slowing you down,
Yeah, we've made our point.
No
We've made a point.
No chance.
It's not that the players are bad. It's not anything
No,
else.
no.
It's simply, for me, I don't mind losing a game. I lost the game to the Votan, which are really good. I don't care of losing as long as I feel as though I've got things to do that where I could do something. And the only thing in the Votan list where I have no interaction is those bloody judgment tokens. Why on earth Games Workshop don't give you an ability to remove them somehow? If it's take an action, so don't do anything for a turn to remove. It doesn't matter. I don't care. But something just to feel as though you're playing the game. But anyway, moving on. We've got about 6 or 7 minutes left, mate. So, what else did we notice? I've got one thing I want to talk about just very quickly, but if you've got anything else, go first.
No, go for it.
Right. I didn't take my monolith because looking at the geometry of the tables and the measurements that I was given, I couldn't actually fit it between the terrain pieces. So imagine my surprise. When I look at the table next to me while I'm fighting the Voton, there's a guy with a Necron list with a monolith, shuffling, squeezing, scratching the paint off the monolith, squeezing it between all the buildings. And I didn't say anything because clearly it's not my job to get involved in another player's game. But it strikes me that if I was playing him, I would have been saying, hang on, how's that work? Because if you measure the table, they can't do it. Having said that, if the players put the table terrain out, like we have to now, it only takes somebody to put it half an inch wrong on both sides. That's an inch difference. And all of a sudden, you can get a Land Raider and a monolith down. I think that's an area that could lead to issues.
Yeah, it could, couldn't it? Because imagine you take a monolith, it would be easy to put the terrain down pretty much where it should be, but not quite, just so you can squeeze your monolith down there.
Yeah,
Land Raider, the whole game.
Land Raider's the same. It's even closer with a Land Raider. The Land Raider that Kevin had in my turn game 4 had the sponsons on the side. There was no way it was going to fit between those things. Now I let him, but you know what? If we're playing WYSIWYG, you really shouldn't be able to move a vehicle, your Land Raider down there. So it's I'm not sure. I don't know what you could do about that, but it felt a bit uncomfortable because I would have valued having all that anti-tank that you get with a monolith, and I didn't. So that's
I'm not sure what the answer to that is.
No.
Whether you speak to the tournament organizer before and say, look, I'm thinking of bringing a monolith. Have you designed the terrain so that I can fit down here, and here? Or is it not supposed to fit down here, and here?
Well, I can tell you it shouldn't, because they give you the sizes of the terrain pieces. They give you where they fit on the table. So you can actually work out before you arrive that you should not be able to fit 7 inches of monolith in between those two buildings. I know you couldn't. And yet there were players doing it. So
yeah, tricky one.
It is. And you don't want to be that guy, do you? You don't want to be that guy who says you can't do that.
No.
Anyway, so that's the only thing that I came away with thinking, I wonder what the issue, how you play that. So thanks for your advice, Alex. I'll do that. About my army list, the only thing I'm not so sure about really is the Hexmark Destroyer. Pistol Pete did nothing.
He's super cool.
Yeah, he is super cool, but he did nothing. Nothing.
Yeah, but he's cool.
Yeah, so's the Silent King. I don't want 2 cool guys.
There's only room for 1 cool guy.
There's only room for 1 cool guy in my list. What about you? Did you feel anything underperformed that you might want to change?
No, the only unit that I'm still not sure on, and I don't feel it got a real fair testing this weekend, because I wouldn't count the Eldar games, and they're not particularly great in tonight's, is that Indomitus Kill Team.
Yeah.
really good anti-infantry. But then I played Necrons, which they were great, and to Eldar, pointless,
Yeah.
Knights, and they're like chipping the odd wound or two off Knights, and you're like, But then, if I go to the next event and I don't play any Knights and I play Custodes or I play, whatever, and then I go,
or
okay,
whatever. Yeah,
anti-infantry 2+, bam, have some of this, then they'll come into their own.
Yeah.
So, no, I really like my list. And now I've not got an event for a while. I'm now going to commit to this list. I'm going to spend some time, getting it painted up before our next event, which is going to be, well, for me, it's going to be next year. But so it gives me time to get some paint on the boys.
I felt as though I cut Alex off in his prime there. Sorry, Alex, didn't mean to. You mentioned your next event is probably going to be next year. It is. Now, I know that we have already decided we're going to go to the international team tournament in Birmingham in May. So that seems to be a long way off, but it will come round in a hurry. And we've got 5 of us signed up. I suspect we will come nowhere in that as well. But nevertheless, it'll be fun. What else were we going to do? I'm going to go to Cross Swords in Plymouth in November with the Black Crow guys. I'm the only Cold Steel mercenary going, so they're all sharpening their machetes and waiting to have a go at me. So that's going to be a bit uncomfortable, I suspect, but nevertheless, it's a long way, but good fun. Right, what else have I got to talk about? Real quick, at Battlefield Birmingham, Chaos Marines did well. And when I got back, I looked at my my shelf of models, and I've got a lot of Chaos Marines. And when I looked at the lists that did well, David from Glasshammer Games list, I've got everything in his list except for a couple of characters. I don't have the characters with the demon hammers, but I could throw that together. And I'm seriously now thinking, should I use Chaos Space Marines in 2024? I've had them for years. I really like them, but I've been using Necrons for the last few years, so I'm not sure. I think I might give them a run out as an event or two to see how they go. But I think that the Necron Codex is due out over the winter, and that might tempt me to stay with Necrons depending on what the new attachments are like. Let me know what you think. If you think I should stay with Necrons or move on to Chaos Space Marines, it's not a problem. Anyway, if you are listening on Spotify, send me a voice message. It's easy to do. Just do it. Let me know what you think. I can even play it back in the next episode if it's anything sensible. If you're listening on YouTube, please just click the thumbs up icon or subscribe so you don't miss any of the future episodes. And look forward to listening to Harry Allen and his discussion about being a tournament organizer for the last 10 years and running what I think are a couple of the nicest little events in the country at Battlefield Birmingham. Until then, see you on the ice.